strange shapes, mysterious lights, and even what looks like a doorway. Mars has revealed some truly weird secrets. In this video, we're counting down 20 unbelievable discoveries on the red planet that left scientists and viewers stunned. Mars face mystery. Back in 1976, NASA's Viking 1 orbiter flew close to Mars and snapped a photo that shocked the world. In the picture, there was something strange. On the dusty surface of the red planet, it looked like a human face was staring back. Some even said it resembled a young Elvis Presley. People went wild with theories, calling it proof of alien life or a hidden monument built by someone or something not from Earth. Headlines screamed monkey face on Mars, and books like The Monuments of Mars pushed the mystery even further. It became one of the most talked about space photos of that time. But here's where things took a turn. Years later, scientists got clearer images from newer missions in 1998 and 2001. Those high-resolution photos showed the face was actually just a rocky hill called a mesa. According to experts, parts of the rock erode slower than others, which makes some spots taller and others lower. When sunlight hits just right, it creates shadows that look like facial features. So what looked like a face was really just a clever trick of light and shadow. The mystery wasn't aliens, it was all about timing and angle. Mars has a weird red rock that looks like a butt. Something really strange popped up on Mars. NASA's Perseverance rover, which is there to study the planet, seriously ended up capturing a photo of a rock that looks like a human butt. Yes, a literal butt crack on Mars. A NASA software engineer named Kevin Gill spotted the image taken on April 15th and gave it the nickname Butt Crack Rock. He's known for sharing fun, retouched space photos for fans, and this one definitely made people laugh. But the real question is, why does Mars have that weird red color in the first place? So let's take a quick trip back about 4.5 billion years. The surface of Mars is full of a substance called iron oxide, the same thing that gives rust and blood their red color. This happened because, unlike Earth, Mars didn't pull all its heavy iron deep into its core. Instead, thanks to its smaller size and weaker gravity, a lot of that iron stayed near the surface. When exposed to oxygen, pure iron turns red. That's what gives Mars its iconic red look, and maybe also the reason behind that weird, red butt-shaped rock just sitting on its lonely surface. The Mars Angel and the Devil Storms. Summer just arrived at the south pole of Mars, and with it, something strange appeared. A stunning new photo from the European Space Agency shows two shapes. One looks like an angel, and the other like a demon. But don't worry, these demons are actually dust devils. Just like on Earth, when warm air rises fast through cold air, it creates a spinning column of dust. But on Mars, these swirling devils can grow up to 6 miles tall. On the dark side of the photo, you can even spot the track of one such massive Martian cyclone twisting across the surface. Now, let's talk about that glowing angel. When scientists zoomed in on its halo, they discovered it's really the steep walls of a deep crater, a leftover from a meteorite crash long ago. That crash cracked open the Martian crust and revealed ancient, dark red layers underneath. These rich crimson patterns make up the angel's body and even a heart shape near its wing. But the mystery doesn't stop there. No one knows exactly what makes the red color so vivid. Some believe it came from old volcanic activity hidden under the surface, slowly uncovered by erosion, space rocks, and fierce Martian winds. Shiny clouds on Mars. Something magical appeared in the sky of Mars on March 5th, 2021. NASA's Curiosity rover, which normally explores rocks and soil, looked up and saw glowing rainbow-like clouds floating high above. These are called mother-of-pearl or iridescent clouds. According to scientist Mark Lemon, these clouds shine in soft colors like pink, green, and blue because the tiny particles inside them are all the same size. That usually happens when the clouds form quickly and evenly. It's like nature's way of painting the Martian sky with pastels. The Curiosity rover captured this moment on its 3,048th day on Mars, known as a SOL. Its camera, called Mastcam, snapped 23 photos and stitched them into one stunning panorama. These photos came from the top of the rover's mast like a robotic neck holding its eyes. The Mastcam was built in San Diego and is still operated from there. NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab in California, which is part of Caltech, built the Curiosity rover and still controls it from Earth. Even on a planet millions of kilometers away, we're still watching the skies like curious kids. Mars once had water? Mars might look like a dry, dusty desert today, but here's something wild. NASA found signs of liquid water on it. Right now, most of the water on Mars is frozen solid, locked in thick ice sheets at the North Pole. During the coldest times of the year, you can even see frost on the surface and ice particles floating in the air. But don't be fooled, Mars is extremely dry. Its atmosphere is super thin with way less pressure than Earth. If rain did fall, it would only make a film thinner than a sheet of paper compared to the thick puddles we get on Earth. But it wasn't always like this. Scientists now believe that around 4 billion years ago, Mars was completely different. It had real water flowing across its surface, meaning the environment was warmer and wetter back then. That's a huge clue about Mars' past. Earth, Mars, and Venus were all formed from the same basic building blocks. But unlike Earth and Venus, Mars lost most of its atmosphere because of its small size and weak gravity. That's why it turned into the cold, dry planet we see today. A world that once had the potential for rivers, lakes, or maybe even life. Mars was wet. As NASA's Curiosity rover slowly climbs Mount Sharp, a massive 8-kilometer tall mountain on Mars, something strange starts to appear. The land is changing. On July 3rd, 2021, Curiosity's camera captured a stunning view. Bumpy rocks and smooth round hills that look like they've been shaped by time and water. Scientists were thrilled. Why? Because this spot sits right between two very different zones, one rich in clay and the other filled with salty minerals called sulfates. These layers might hold the secret to how Mars, once full of water, slowly dried up. It's like reading pages of a Martian history book, and this chapter could explain how long water stayed on the planet. Down on Earth, NASA's team gets to work. Using the rover's robotic arm, Curiosity drills into a rock called pontours, making it the 32nd sample ever taken. The crushed rock is then tested inside the rover to see what it's made of. Every little detail tells a bigger story. Scientists hope these new findings will reveal how clay slowly turned into sulfates as Mars dried out. This is more than just rocks. It's a puzzle piece in understanding if Mars could have once supported life and how long those life-friendly conditions really lasted. Mr. Peanut found on Mars? Something strange just showed up on the surface of Mars, and it looks weirdly familiar. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter snapped a photo of a group of round shapes near the south pole of the red planet, and when the University of Arizona's high-rise camera team looked at the image closely, they saw something shocking. The shape on the surface looked just like Mr. Peanut, the famous mascot of Planters Peanuts. There are no mushrooms or peanuts on Mars, but this odd pit formation got the team so curious, they even named the image Mr. Peanut and shared it as their photo of the day. It gets even funnier. The team joked that the smaller bubble shape next to the Mr. Peanut figure might be the birth of Baby Nut. Back in 2020, Planters ran a wild ad campaign where they killed off Mr. Peanut only to bring him back as a baby. So seeing this peanut lookalike on Mars made the scientists smile. It's just another example of how space sometimes plays tricks on us, turning rocks and shadows into something that feels oddly familiar. Hit that like button if this made you laugh and subscribe for more weird space finds. The Mars Dust Devil's on the move. Mars may look quiet and empty, but it's full of surprises. In a recent image from the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter, we see long streaks across the Martian surface, left behind by powerful dust devils. These are swirling columns of wind that scrape away the top layer of dust, revealing fresh, blue-gray material underneath. Even with its thin atmosphere, Mars can whip up storms strong enough to send hundreds of these mini tornadoes racing across the planet's face. They don't stop for anything, not even deep craters or steep hills. What's wild is that these Martian dust devils form just like the ones on Earth. When the ground heats up faster than the air above, it creates rising columns of warm air. As cooler, heavier air sinks, it sets off a spinning motion. If the wind comes in just right, it gives the funnel a push and the dust devil is born. These speedy spirals can lift dust and move it far across the surface. In the image, their tracks twist and turn across the planet, showing just how alive Mars really is. Mars rover drops its own armor. Something surprising just happened on Mars. NASA's Perseverance rover dropped a part of itself right onto the Martian ground. But don't worry, it was all part of the plan. That part is called the belly pan. It's like a shield that protected the rover's important sampling tools during the long space journey. On a Saturday, NASA shared a short clip showing the belly pan right beneath the rover, then resting on the ground. Now that the cover is off, it's time for the rover to get to work collecting Martian rock and soil samples, sealing them in small tubes for a future mission to come back and pick them up. Before Perseverance landed in February, NASA tested how the belly pan would be ejected back on Earth. The rover carries special tools and 43 sample containers stored safely under its belly. Dropping the pan was a key step in exposing the inner lab to Mars' environment and giving the robotic arm more space to operate. The photos you see were actually taken by the rover itself using its robotic arm. NASA said this belly pan will now stay on Mars forever, a small piece of human exploration left behind. Luckily, there are no fines for littering on the red planet. Smiley face found on Mars. On the surface of Mars, there's a giant crater that looks like it's smiling. It's called the Gale crater, named after a German astronomer, Johann Gottfried Gale. This huge crater sits near the edge of a massive impact basin called Argyre Planitia. Thanks to a strange trick of light and shape known as pareidolia, the curved mountain range in the south and two smaller ones up north form what looks like a giant happy face. That's how it got the nickname Happy Face Crater. The Viking Orbiter 1 was the first spacecraft to capture this funny formation way back on January 28, 2008. But here's where it gets even cooler. Years later, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter spotted another smaller happy face crater in a place called Nereidum Montis. And if you're a fan of comics, this will blow your mind. The crater was actually used in the Watchmen story. Artist Dave Gibbons noticed how much it looked like the famous smiley face symbol in the comic. He even said it looked almost too good to be true and worried people might think it was fake. That same scene even made it into the Watchmen movie. Mars really does have a sense of humor. Martian bone mystery. A strange photo from Mars shook the internet back in 2014. It looked like a human thigh bone lying right there on the red planet's dusty ground. This photo came from NASA's Curiosity rover using its mast cam. Right away, conspiracy theorists jumped in saying this was proof that humans once lived on Mars. Even today, people still point to this image as evidence. But NASA scientists were quick to respond. They explained that what looks like a bone is actually just a rock shaped by years of wind or water erosion. They also added that if Mars ever had life, it would have been tiny creatures like microbes, not humans or animals with bones. The truth is, our brains love to play tricks on us. There's a weird thing called pareidolia. It makes us see familiar shapes like faces or body parts in random objects like clouds or rocks. That's likely what happened here. People saw a bone because they wanted to see one. This isn't even the first time people thought they found life on Mars. There have been wild stories about Martian mushrooms and even a Martian Bigfoot. But NASA keeps it real. They've said if life exists on Mars, it's probably just simple bacteria, not aliens or ancient humans walking around with skeletons. Fish found on Mars? It started with a single photo from NASA's Curiosity rover, and what people saw in it was shocking. Right in the center of the image, taken on the surface of Mars, there appeared to be a rock shaped exactly like a fish. With a fin tail and an upturned nose, it looked like something straight out of a lake, not a lifeless planet. This strange shape quickly caught the attention of UFO hunters and alien enthusiasts. Some believed it was evidence of ancient Martian life, maybe even preserved remains of a creature that once swam in a Martian ocean. NASA, however, quickly stepped in to cool things down. They explained that Mars likely never had enough oxygen to support complex life forms like fish. Even though it once had an ocean bigger than Earth's Arctic Ocean, it doesn't mean fossils are just lying around. They said it was just a trick of lighting and rock formation that made the shape look fish-like. Still, websites like UFO Sightings Daily highlighted the discovery, adding more mystery to Mars. Whether it's just a rock or something more, the photo left everyone staring a little longer at the red planet. Mars jelly donut mystery solved. Something strange showed up on Mars and it had scientists scratching their heads. A tiny rock suddenly appeared in a photo taken by NASA's Opportunity rover. A rock that wasn't there just 12 days before. It looked like a jelly donut with a white outer ring and a deep red center. This odd little rock, named Pinnacle Island, turned out to be about 1.5 inches wide and was found sitting 3 feet away from a bigger boulder. NASA later discovered that the rover's wheel accidentally broke off a piece of that boulder named Stewart Island while turning. That chunk got tossed and landed in its new spot, creating the mystery. But the story didn't end there. When scientists took a close look at Pinnacle Island, they were shocked. to find it was made of something completely new. It had high levels of manganese and even silver, materials that can dissolve in water. That meant water had once flowed there long ago, leaving these ingredients behind. For a rock that looked like dessert, it had a secret recipe written by Mars itself, and it gave scientists one more reason to believe water once shaped the red planet. Martian blueberries mystery. Something strange was found on Mars just months after NASA's Opportunity rover landed there in 2004. Tiny, round, iron-rich balls were scattered all over the surface near the landing spot. Scientists gave them a cute name, blueberries. But figuring out how they formed was far from simple. Even today, their chemical makeup is still puzzling. Researchers have been studying similar round formations on Earth to guess how the Martian ones appeared. A new study suggests these Earth-like examples might help explain how water and chemistry shaped the Martian surface long ago. These blueberries are more than just weird-looking rocks. They were one of the first big clues that Mars used to be full of water. The fact that these spheres even exist means water must have moved through the rocks a lot. That's huge! Dr. Priyani Horgan, a planetary expert from Purdue University, says this could help us imagine what ancient Mars really looked like. So, these little blueberries are giving us giant hints about Mars's watery past. Mars is full of surprises and we've only scratched the surface. If these discoveries blew your mind, hit that like button, share the video, and don't forget to subscribe for more space mysteries.